Sunil Sharma, political commentator, host of the Rational Voices with Sunil podcast. Sunil, very good morning to you.
Morning, Mike.
So we've got the big day today. We've got Rachel Reeves handing out money to all sorts of people. I've got one question for you, and I bet you can't answer this because I haven't met anybody yet that can. £39 billion they say they're going to spend on housing, right? Which is going to be more than likely social housing for people who can't afford to pay sort of, top dollar for commercial property. But who's actually going to get £39 billion of our money? That's what I want to know. And my suspicion is it's going to go to commercial building companies.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I don't know where they're making these figures up. I don't know where they're going to get the money from. And I think it just sums up how poor our cabinet really is. You look at the expertise in some countries, like what's going on in America, whether you like Trump or not. You look at the profile of his cabinet, his administration, and you look at the experience that they have when it comes to business, when it comes to their previous background and their previous careers, and you look at the cabinet that we have here in the UK. This has to be one of the least experienced, one of the weakest cabinets that we've ever seen in history. You wouldn't trust them to do anything. So the fact that they're now plucking these numbers out, it's really hard to take anything that they say remotely serious, because I don't think there's any trust from anyone in this country in terms of when it comes to them and they talk about the budget, when they talk about investments. I think there's a real lack of trust in this cabinet.
No, there's a total lack of trust. I mean, we've been getting message after message this morning from people saying they've never been more angry, they've never hated a government more. I mean, in my experience of doing this job for a very long time, seeing dozens of governments practically, I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen the people of this country so wound up and so absolutely filled with hatred for the individuals in the government and just for everything that they're doing. They're doing an absolutely dreadful job of everything. There is nothing good about what they're doing.
I mean, they're driving people out of this country. They're driving the people who should be here. They're driving them out of the country. They're driving businesses out of the country. They're creating an environment where if you want to be remotely successful, that they have no interest in keeping you here. I think this government has to be, when it comes to experience, when it comes to knowledge, the worst that Britain has seen. And it's really, really depressing to know that this is the profile of people leading our country. God knows what people think internationally. Well, we know what they think internationally.
Well, we do know. I mean, Marco Rubio has already criticised the government overnight because of David Lammy's ridiculous sanction on 2 Israeli ministers in a foreign government for which we have no responsibility and we have no real reason to criticise. What's it got to do with David Lammy or the Foreign Office or this government in this country, what Israel's ministers have to say about life?
I mean, his focus and this cabinet's focus should be in terms of driving the UK economy forward. How can we collaborate better with countries abroad in terms of getting smaller businesses, expanding them into more foreign territories, in terms of getting foreign companies investing into the UK as well? We should be looking at growth strategies. Instead, Lammy's getting involved in issues that he probably has no idea what he's talking about. And I think that sums it up, that you've got a group of people who are more interested in virtue signalling for a small population of people in the UK than actually thinking about the best interests of the vast majority of this country, because they don't actually have any principles. They don't have actually strong ideas. So what they will do instead is look to do any sort of virtual signalling, cool virtual signalling, propaganda that gives them that little moment of what they think is something that's useful. But the vast majority of people are not interested. They want to know how their economy is going to get better. They want to know how their lives are going to get better even. And I don't think anyone believes for a second that this government's going to help them do that.
Yeah, exactly. That is the problem. And one of the things that's really driving people mad this morning is a story in the Telegraph. Other papers have got it as well. That tax cuts are actually helping people in not this country, Mauritius. Because of course, Keir Starmer, having given away the Chagos Islands, which he somehow managed to negotiate into a massive loss to us of about £30 billion, have done so well in Mauritius because of this deal that they've actually got rid of income tax for 81% of employed people in Mauritius.
I mean, it's an amazing deal for Mauritius. They were able to help get rid of some of their national debt. But it sums up how weak and poor our negotiations are in this country. You look at, again, America are probably the closest example that we can compare to. You look at the way that they are prepared to negotiate as a country, whether it's Trump, whether it's other people in the cabinet. they are some of the toughest negotiators because they've worked in business, because they've run different companies, so they understand the power and the value of negotiations. Our current cabinet has no idea what it's doing when it comes to negotiations. So people will rightly take advantage of us. And I think for us as a country, it's really depressing that a country like Mauritius is able to take advantage of the UK. And I think it sums up how inept our current Prime Minister is and their government is. The fact that Mauritius have been able to do this, the fact that Mauritius are benefiting from a deal that the UK largely brokered, and then looking at the fact that that has actually had such an adverse impact on the UK, it's really, it's crazy stuff. It's hard to understand that we have a cabinet that's working for us, because I don't know how else to say that they just do not seem to be serving the interests of the British people. More so, they seem to be on a mission to hurt British people, which I think is just absolutely crazy.
It really is. And I mean, as I say, with every step that Starmer takes, it seems to get worse and worse and worse. Have a look at this. This is Sizewell C yesterday, the announcement being made by Keir Starmer. Absolutely ridiculous.
When he came into our class, he acknowledged everyone, he shook our hands, he seemed really nice.
Today is a really important day because we made a huge decision about the future of nuclear in our country. Huge investment of money, £14 billion, 10,000 jobs. Not just an important decision for the future, it's a change of mindset. No more dithering, no more delay, no more being unclear about what we're going to do. A real statement of intent as we go forwards. What I take away from this and meeting you is what it means for you. 11 to 16-year-olds already going on site on a regular basis and thinking about the jobs that it might mean for them, good, well-paid, secure jobs, skilled jobs across a range of topics as we go down this road in relation to Sizewell.
I mean, I'm not sure about you, Sunil, but where are these 10,000 jobs coming from that Keir Starmer's threatening to create? Because I'm told that Sizewell C is already a project underway, which was started under the Tory government. So where are these 10,000 jobs actually going to come from? And if they're not people that are skilled enough to do them in Suffolk, are people going to be expected to move there?
Crazy. I think he's, again, just plucking numbers out of thin air. I think he's not actually sat there and thought about a growth plan for this country. I don't think anyone in that cabinet has sat there and thought about how do we actually grow the British economy? What does the future of Britain look like? Where is our areas of growth coming from? I think he's plucked numbers out of thin air. He's seen some of the previous government did and thought it's an opportunity for him to latch on, take some credit for. But I think that the harsh reality is I don't think anyone in the UK really truly believes that this government is going to create jobs for Britain. I don't think it's going to improve the value of jobs in Britain. If anything, they'll continue to take jobs away. They'll continue to hurt businesses. They'll continue to hurt small businesses, large businesses who employ thousands of people. It really is a sad time for Britain. And with everything that's going on, I unfortunately can't see when things are going to get better under this government. I really just don't believe with the current profile of people in the cabinet that we're actually going to see much change in the United Kingdom. They need a complete overall in terms of who is in that cabinet. That the caliber of people has to improve if we're actually going to see any improvements in Britain.
Yeah, but I think, unfortunately, as far as Labour is concerned, they don't really have anybody decent to bring in, because if you look around, there literally isn't anyone that's not in the cabinet that you would put in it from the Labour government, as far as I can see anyway. And the other problem, of course, is the Blob. Harry Cole, the Sun's political editor, has done a great interview with Simon Case, the former sort of head of the civil service, right? And it's on Never Mind the Ballots. You can get it on the Sun's YouTube channel. You can also get it on Talk's YouTube channel as well. Have a look at this.
You say this, did you say this when you're on the inside?
I'm not going to go into what I said on the inside, but I'll tell you what I think. And you can draw your own conclusions. You can't have elections where no matter who you vote for, you just keep getting the same answer.
Yes.
So you have to change this question. We have to put... we love to kind of rib and tear strips off our politicians. Actually, I think we go too far on that. These are people who put themselves forward to try and make this country a better place, and they deserve our support for doing it. And what we should be trying to do is make sure that whatever platform they stand on, whoever you vote for, if they come into power, they've got the space to do it. And a lot of that, for me, is about stripping back the powers that have been handed to all sorts of not all of them are quangos, but all sorts of interest groups, and bring these back into
what we might call
control.
the Blob. Do you recognise that?
I used to be in charge of a big bit
you ran
of
the Blob. You
Blob,
are
and as
Sir
you probably know, I hate that phrase because I think it's unbelievably dehumanising.
Yes.
But I do understand
where it's coming from.
That there is this kind of faceless, to many people and many politicians, faceless sort of set of organisations that seems to be holding power no matter what you want to do.
And that, of course, is a massive problem for every government. You know, I think the Tories found it. You know, Dominic Cummings came in with Boris Johnson in 2019 and they tried to sort of dismantle the Blob. But somehow we've ended up with more civil servants now working for the government than ever before. It's the highest number of all time.
I mean, this is a massive, massive issue. And I think what's interesting is I think we would need a Trump-style person to come in and basically remove a lot of these positions. I think the other thing is the caliber of politicians come through is not good enough. You know, if we did take away the civil servants, if we did take away their powers, if we take away the quangos, you know, do we really truly believe Sir Keir Starmer has the answers with his own ideas? I don't think for Sir Keir Starmer the Blob is the issue. I don't think he can function without them. So I think for somebody like him, they're actually really important. But I think for if you want actual pioneers, if you want actual leaders, if you want people to come in to actually, you know, really change our economy, be forward-thinking, look at what's happening across the world, look to really improve our service-based economy, look to improve people who, you know, there's no future for young people if they don't go to university. If you want to really improve those stuff, then we're going to need to remove the Blob. We need to get the power back to the elected officials and people with strong beliefs and ideas. Unfortunately, right now, I don't see too many people like that in this country. And I think as long as until we do see people like that, I think the Blob will continue to win.
Yeah, I think that is a massive problem. Good to talk to you, Sunil. Thanks very much indeed. Sunil Sharma, the political commentator and host of the Rational Voices with Sunil. One of the things that's been going on, of course, the last few days